There are some interesting players and guests on this album as I check the credits. Doyle Bramhall III is on here.
He is indeed, in his splendor and glory.
And I can't help but notice Phil Everly's name.
Phil Everly, sweet Phil Everly, came out of retirement to sing. Lovely guy. That was a wonderful day to be in the studio with him. My wife had her video camera and she shot it for our personal archives, and he was a charmer. That boy's a charmer.
I bet. Did you imagine yourself as one half of the Everly Brothers at any point in time and do some harmonies?
Oh, only my whole life. However, that Don Everly, it's hard to imagine Don without Phil, but Don Everly was always one of my favorite singers, and I always recognized this plaintive thing in Don's voice that Phil so perfectly captured, that sibling harmony. But when I first heard Lennon and McCartney singing together, I could tell they had dined out on the Everly Brothers, who the Everly Brothers had obviously dined out on the Louvin Brothers, So sibling harmony is a beautiful thing.
There have obviously been a lot of changes in Nashville since you moved here. You came here from Texas, the Houston kid, as we all know. But you've been in Nashville for a long time now. How do you like it now compared to earlier days? Is it better? Is it worse?
Well, it's different.
Yeah,
it's different. I was at Guy Clark's house yesterday, and we were kind of slapping each other's wrists and accusing ourselves of telling old stories. But there was in 1972, and this gives away how long I've been here. This was very innocent. It was just the first few years after Christofferson made that first alternative impact on the business as we know it. Introducing that kind of singular poetry, and it was really sweet and innocent around here. It's the whole world, we must all come to grips with the fact that the whole world's gone corporate. And it's a global economy, a global corporate economy. And the days of being holed up in back rooms, tinkering with songs, with no idea for how much money it was going to make. We just would tinker with songs, trying to figure out how to develop a language that would stand the test of time. We were going for museum quality writing with no thought whatsoever for money and what would happen. It's just, as luck would have it, we might strike one now and again, and somebody would send us a check in the mail, and we fed our family and still doing it. But it really is different.
We're talking with Rodney Crowell here on Lightning 100. Rodney has a new album coming on September 2nd called Sex and Gasoline. Rodney, I'm told that you made a trip recently out to Montana, that you, I think, wanted to experience the coldest of the cold Montana winters for some kind of inspiration. Mm-hmm. What was that about?
Well, I love Montana. I spend time out there in Livingston, Montana. I have a dear friend who lives there. Plus, I'm a writer, and there is a writers' community out there. There's, Jim Harrison, Thomas McGuane, and one of my favorite writers, Ivan Doig, writes beautifully about Montana winters. And I get taken up by the romance of really great writing. So this winter, Claudia and I said, listen, the winters are, what with global warming and all, our winters are a lot milder here than they used to be. I remember 12 below zero in the mid-'80s, and I like that. I'm a fan. I like extreme weather. Maybe not hurricanes, maybe not dangerous, but I like cold weather. So we went out to Montana, to spend a month in the winter. Well, the first day we get there, it's 46 degrees. I'm really mad, dadgummit. But they get these winds coming down out of the Yellowstone that get up to 80, 90, 100 miles an hour, coming down out of this pass on the northern entrance to the Yellowstone Park. And that night, we were holed up in our little cabin with 100-mile-an-hour winds banging against the side of the wall, and I thought, well, okay, this is extreme enough to satisfy my longing. And then, a couple of weeks later, I was driving up to Wyoming in a complete whiteout, couldn't see 6 feet in front of me, and I had 120 miles to go, and I thought, wow, we're done for. And we made it. So
maybe you should have been one of those ice road truckers. That's pretty extreme. I don't know if you've seen that show, but those guys live and work in some pretty extreme cold.
yeah.
Whoever wrote the piece that's on your website now mentioned your dogs, and I have got to hear about these dogs. You got a dog named Flearoy, which has got to be the best dog name ever.
Flearoy. Yeah, that is the best dog name ever. I'm pretty sure of it. Flearoy and Mono.
Yeah,
you know,
a great name for a musician's dog.
Yeah,
Mono.
well, Flearoy is notorious in my neighborhood. You know, as I say, I'm old school, and I've been drug kicking and screaming into the modern world. I keep him in, you know, have an electronic fence and keep him on a leash, but it's wrong. He should be roaming the countryside. You know, he should be free to go out and free to come back in. I'm a believer that that's how a dog's life should be. So occasionally he gets out. And when he does, havoc is wreaked in the neighborhood. So he's a notorious fellow, that Flearoy.
And Mono?
Mono's a little guy. He's a little guy. He's a lap dog and proud of it. And, you know, however he can manage, I'll take him on the bus with me on the road. Flearoy's too rambunctious to last on the road. But Mono goes on the road with me and crawls in my bunk and, you know, lives the life. He knows how to milk it.